this disease hemophilia was there in the blood of royal families, right? So we are talking here about the royal family. We are talking about Queen Victoria. Queen Victoria actually gave birth to her 8th son, who was named Leopold, right? So I am just taking you towards history so that you have just interest of this disease, this bleeder's disease, that is hemophilia. So when Queen Victoria actually gave birth to her 8th son named Leopold, the baby was quite normal at the birth. But slowly and slowly what happened, the baby, when he grew up, there were some symptoms or signs that were unusual. So doctors were actually very curious to know which disease is it, because some sort of bruises or cuts, they were there, and the baby was quite clumsy. The baby felt quite weak after doing just a small activity for a shorter duration of time. So this disease, that is hemophilia, which is also known as bleeder's disease, it was first reported by John Otto in 1803. So this is a disease which was there in the royal family. This disease was with Leopold, who was actually Queen Victoria's son. So something quite astonishing, right? But now this disease is becoming quite common. This hemophilia, that is bleeder's disease. So it was first reported by John Otto in 1803, and this is a defect of blood which prevents its clotting. Means in hemophilia, what happens when somebody gets a minor injury or a cut on the skin, bleeding starts. This is generally what happens in us. Bleeding starts, and after some time, after just in a minute, you can say the bleeding stops because our blood has clotted. But if you are suffering from hemophilia, then the blood clotting factor is missing or lacking inside your body, due to which the blood clotting does not take place. So you can say hemophilic patients bleed for longer duration of time than a normal person. That is why we call hemophilia as bleeder's disease. So it is the defect of blood which prevents its clotting. What is the cause of this? The cause of this is, it's a sex-linked trait caused by a recessive gene H. We are calling this recessive gene as H, located in the X chromosome. This is always located on the X chromosome, right? This gene controls the synthesis of a protein needed for the clotting of blood. Now let's discuss. I told you in the beginning that we are going to discuss Mendelian disorders and chromosomal disorders. This hemophilia is a Mendelian disorder because it is there because of the mutation of single gene. A single gene mutation is involved, due to which it is a Mendelian disorder, which we call as bleeder's disease also. Hemophilia is known as bleeder's disease also. Just remember this. So since I told you that this gene H, which is for hemophilia, is located on which chromosome? It is located on X chromosome. And this gene controls the synthesis of a protein needed for the clotting of blood. Means there are certain clotting factors in your blood which actually lead to clotting of blood. But if this gene H is there on the X chromosome, then what happens? This gene controls the synthesis of a protein needed for the clotting of blood. So if you are suffering from hemophilia, the clotting factor will be lacking in your body, due to which blood clotting will not take place effectively as it is there in a normal person. Now let us see how can we actually come to a conclusion of who are the carriers and who are the actual sufferers, right? So as I told you that X chromosome is there, and this is a sex-linked trait caused by a recessive gene H located in the X chromosome. So we can write it like this, right? This is the gene for hemophilia. Now in females we have 2 X chromosomes. Let me write it here. We have 2 X chromosomes, and in males we have 1 X chromosome and 1 Y chromosome. Now in this case, I told you, in case of these alleles or genes, one is dominant and the other one is recessive. So in this case, normal blood is dominant over hemophilic blood, right? So which one is dominant? the normal blood is dominant. Normal blood is dominant over hemophilic blood. So in case of females, as I told you, they have X and the other also X. So in case of females, the females can always be the carriers. They will not be suffering from this disease, they can only be the carriers. Why carriers? Because for this hemophilic blood, the homologue of this hemophilic blood is there on the other X chromosome and they are alternate pairs, right? So if there is the homologue on this X chromosome which is for normal blood, then the normal blood is the dominant one. So dominant one is going to express itself. So that is why females can only be the carriers, they cannot be suffering, they will not suffer from this disease. Okay, so let's do this with the help of a cross. Supposingly a normal female actually marries a hemophilic man. Now a man is always hemophilic, a man can be hemophilic, I mean to say. Why a man can be hemophilic? Because there is no other X chromosome. So that is why if there is no other X chromosome, means the homologue of this hemophilic blood cannot be there. If it cannot be there, means the normal blood which is dominant, this cannot be the case in case of a man, because the other is Y. There are no two X. We have one, in case of males we have one X and one Y. So let's do this cross. Let's make a checkerboard in this case. So what are the gametes that we have? These are the parents. We have X and XH and Y over here. So let's do this. It is X and this, and we have this over here and this. So what is the conclusion from this cross? In this case, a female carrier means the daughter is the carrier, because for the daughter to be hemophilic we need an H over here also, but this is not the case. The daughter is what? Daughter is the carrier in this case, and it's a normal son, again a carrier daughter and again a normal son, right? So in this case nobody is hemophilic, right? But if supposingly we have a carrier woman who marries a hemophilic man, okay, a carrier woman marries a hemophilic man, so what could be the case? Let's talk in terms of the gametes. We have these gametes, just write this and these. So here we have this combination and here we have this combination. So what could be the case? As you can see, this case is not possible. This is not possible, because if this is there, if both the X chromosomes carry this hemophilic gene, this is not possible because this is a deadly combination, a fatal combination. But in this case, as you can see, the son is hemophilic. So we have a hemophilic son in this case. And if the son is hemophilic, means if the woman is a carrier and the father is hemophilic, he is suffering from hemophilia, then the combination could be like that. The son is also hemophilic, the son that is produced is also hemophilic, and here we can have one daughter that is also a carrier. So in the royal societies, there were some children who were suffering from this disease, hemophilia, and they passed this disease to their daughters who became the carriers, and the daughters further passed this disease to their sons who were actually suffering from hemophilia. This type of inheritance is known as criss-cross inheritance. It is known as criss-cross inheritance. Why it is known as criss-cross inheritance? It is known as criss-cross inheritance because the daughters are the carriers, they are passing this disease to their sons, and the sons are passing this disease to the daughters who are again becoming the carriers, and then they are passing this disease to the sons. So this is like a criss-cross inheritance in this case. So this is what is about hemophilia, the bleeder's disease. sex-linked trait caused by a recessive gene H located in the X chromosome. This gene controls the synthesis of a protein needed for the clotting of the blood.